Welcome to the Blueprint Breakers podcast. What is a blueprint breaker? If you live your life outside the typical traditional lifestyle blueprint, you are a blueprint breaker. We are here to start a conversation, to assemble resources, and to build a community. This podcast is for empowered women in midlife and beyond who are preparing for a powerful next era of life. My name is Amy A. Palmer. I am your host and facilitator for our conversations. Sit back, relax, enjoy the show. To stay connected, up to date, and to receive all of our free resources and gifts along the way, join us at community.blueprintbreakers.com. What are your top 5 favorite things about 2024? And why should we take a look at this? I'm going to challenge you to take a little time on this, not thinking ahead to 2025, not making resolutions, yada, yada. Let's look at 2024 and decide what are the top 5 highlights from the year and what can we get from that? Does it align with the vision we have for our life? So I'm going to ask you to think about that. And I'm going to share what I came up with for myself and the way that I came up with it. So I started by scrolling through my own social media, looking at my Instagram and my Facebook and just kind of going through my memories from the year. And I also took some time to scroll through my camera roll and be reminded of all the pretty amazing things that happened this year. Disclaimer, I'm not saying I did not have lows in 2024. I absolutely did. But for the purposes of this exercise, I am focusing on the highlights and what were the most meaningful themes or events or just anything that happened, your favorite parts. There's really no rules to it. So I'm going to challenge you to do this. Take a scroll down memory lane and empower yourself to come up with your 5 favorite things about 2024. Sharing my 5, and in no particular order, I'm going to start with family time. I think I have shared previously this year that I have spent a lot of quality time with my family and with my parents this year. I spent close to a month with them early in the year when they were in Myrtle Beach, which was awesome. It was great being in South Carolina during winter type season and just really good spending quality time with them. And then I was with them for the vast majority of the summer this year in upstate New York. It was good on a number of levels, not only just being able to spend quality time with them and like reconnecting with them and sort of being exposed to their day-to-day, what their current lives are and what their day-to-day is. It also opened my eyes to the next season of life that they're in, and as a result that I'm in, and has helped me to sort of think about how to best prepare for this next season so that it is as full and wonderful as possible for all of us. It was also helpful because it kind of helped me reconnect with my history, my childhood, my roots, revisiting who I used to be. And it prompted a lot of questions. So definitely one of the highlights of 2024 was spending that quality time. The other part of my top 5 was my IRL connections, my in real life connections. As a nomad, as a digital nomad, I spent a lot of time online. My friends and loved ones will tell you I'm not a huge fan of telephone calls. I tend to stay in touch with people virtually, online, through text, through social media, et cetera, with the occasional quality phone call. But what really feeds my soul the most is seeing people in person. And so I had a lot of opportunity to do that in various ways. And I love that about my lifestyle. For example, when I had plans to go to a particular place, I spent like close to a month in California. That was absolutely beautiful because I was able to reconnect with my friends in California and spend good, focused, quality time with many of them and able to really focus on them when I'm with them. And that leads to just wonderful connection and great conversation. So that was amazing. It was also amazing that I was able to meet friends that I've cultivated online via different coaching groups that I'm a part of and in different ways. I was able to meet them in person for the first time. So that was wonderful. And it sort of gave me some ideas around some of my future goals and future things that I want to do as a digital nomad, because this face-to-face connection, the in real life connection is really what I enjoy. And I enjoy it in a one-on-one and small group scenario, anywhere from like 1 to like 5 or 6 people. That's when I walk away from those interactions, that's when I feel the most full, the most fulfilled, the happiest, the most nourished. And so those in real life connections was just invaluable to me. And for those of you that I got to do that with this year, thank you. Thank you for being available. Thank you for accommodating me. I just really appreciate that. The next thing on my top 5 is because it's probably top of mind recently is I finally have been able to begin hormone therapy for my menopausal symptoms. And that has been a long road for me. I've seen a couple different doctors. Doctors didn't think that my symptoms were bad enough to warrant hormones. And the more research that I did on it, the more I looked into it, the more I felt that it was something I wanted to try. And so my doctor gave me a prescription. I'm sort of entering my 2nd month of being on hormone therapy. And I'll tell you, the biggest wonderful pieces of that for me have been, number 1, sleep. I am able to sleep through the night. Now, prior, for many years, I don't even know how many years, perimenopause into menopause, I would wake up several times during the night. I've had no problem falling asleep, but then I would wake up at like 3, 4 o'clock in the morning, almost every night. And I've explored that with nutritionists, and I've tried lots of natural remedies and things like that. Since I've been on the hormones, it happened pretty quickly, not right away, but pretty quickly. I sleep all the way through the night, 8 hours sleep. And that's been wonderful. I wake up feeling more rested. And at the same time, there are days where in the afternoon, I am tired and need a nap. Not every day, once in a while, but that nap is a deep restorative sleep. And that's very different. It's a very different feeling. And so I feel like my body is slowly but surely becoming more rested. And I know you can't catch up on sleep that you lost in the past, but it almost feels like I am. So that's been really, really cool. The other cool thing about it has been during perimenopause, I began having random panic attacks and anxiety, like high levels of anxiety that were not necessarily predictable for me because I hadn't experienced it prior. So I didn't understand why I was feeling it. And I was feeling it during times of when I would have to speak in front of people. It would happen sometimes, not all the time, but then I kind of developed a fear of it because I was afraid that I was going to have a panic attack. And previously, during most of my adult life, it's one of my strongest skills. Speaking in front of people, performing, whatever has been a strength of mine. But recent years, high anxiety around that. Also, interestingly enough, anxiety over driving over bridges, big bridges, particularly the Chesapeake Bay Bridge. In the last couple of years, when I would drive over the bridge, I had to put a lot of attention to my breathing because I would have heart palpitations. I would get really, really anxious and nervous as I was doing that. And I just thought it's just part of getting older. I wasn't really sure why I was developing these particular, like why my fears or nervousness were becoming at a heightened level. And since I've been on hormones, I have not experienced that, knock on wood. I drove over the Chesapeake Bay Bridge on Thanksgiving Day to meet up with friends in DC. Zero panic attack, zero heart palpitation. In fact, it was a glorious sunny day. I was able to enjoy the drive across the bridge. And regarding speaking in front of people, I auditioned for a show for the first time in decades. And I mean, I had nerves, I had butterfly nervousness, which is good and healthy, but I did not have any panic. I was able to get in front of a room full of strangers on a stage, do my thing, and enjoy the heck out of it. So I think that the panic was hormone related, and I'm feeling really good about that. Now, mind you, I'm also keeping an eye on how things are. I want to make sure that these don't have a negative impact on, my blood pressure or other aspects that I just want to make sure that it's a good, healthy result being on these. I was kind of hoping it would impact sort of my internal motivation and energy level, and it hasn't really done that, or at least not yet. I tend to be more externally motivated than internally motivated, unfortunately, and hormones have not changed that. So if you're having those conversations with your doctors, I highly recommend to continue to have those conversations of all the pros and the cons. Next on my list is the clients that I've worked with this year and the different client work that I'm doing this year. I'm really thoroughly enjoying my work, all aspects of it. The client work, the contract work that is producing the most revenue for me this year has been in designing training courses and curriculum for companies and businesses in different ways. I've had a couple of different contracts in that regard, and I'm enjoying the creativity. I'm enjoying pulling from my skill set. I'm enjoying learning new things about like video editing and different platforms to use to make training courses more interactive and interesting. And I'm enjoying learning how to use AI to help with the process. All of that. I'm having a blast. The people that I've been working with have been amazing. So that has been cool. The podcast episodes I've done this year and the interviews that I've had have been with the most incredible women. I've really enjoyed the conversations and exploring those deeply. And then the coaching programs that I've had with Stuck to Stellar, I've just been humbled by just the magic that is created when you bring a group of women together to support each other and to learn from each other in order to reach a new level of fulfillment, a new level of growth. And with the women that have been in my Stuck to Stellar program, I've been blown away by the vulnerability, transparency, the willingness to grow, the willingness to try new things and to be bold. So professionally, just the quality of the work that I'm doing and the impact that it's having across the board, it just feels really good and feels really right. And another highlight of my year has been, and this is the fifth, and again, none of this is in any particular order, is seeing the musical Wicked. It's part of a theme about really connecting with the performing arts. I've seen it twice already. I still want to see it again. I mean, it touched me in so many ways. And I have a hard time watching it and sitting still. Like I want to be like standing up on my seat, cheering and clapping and just dancing and singing at the top of my lungs. So it's hard to sort of restrain myself while I'm watching it, but it's still, I feel infused with such joy as I watch it, even as I cry, even as I like the cathartic nature of it. And all of the connections that I've made to our current world, some of which are very exciting and empowering, and some of which are kind of just sad to think about, which I won't get into that part now, but just the whole experience of it. And I was able to go see a Broadway show a couple of months ago. We got to see The Roommates with a really close friend of mine from college, and The Roommates, which was starring Mia Farrow and Patti LuPone. That was really, really fun and just gives me a jolt of energy. And the fact that I actually stepped out of my comfort zone and revisited a part of my past by auditioning for a show a few weeks back, I had such a blast in the auditions. I just had a great time. And it just reminded me of something else that causes me joy and that I can pursue as I go forward. So those were the top highlights of my 2024. I want to hear from you. Either leave me a voicemail on this podcast. I'll have a link in the show notes, or send me an email, amy@amyapalmer.com, or message me on social media. I'm on all of them. I want to hear, what were your top highlights? I get joy from your joy. And I want to hear how you connect the dots. What does it mean? What do these highlights mean? I'm going to ask that question of myself. And these are great journaling prompts too, by the way. What do these highlights mean for me as I think through? It's really interesting because as I think through these 5 themes, and as a reminder for me, it was family time, it was in real life connections, it was my hormone treatments, it was my client work, and the connection to performing arts and Wicked, the movie musical. As I look at my vision board that I created a couple of years ago, that I keep it in a frame by my bed so I see it every day. And it's the screensaver on my telephone so that I'm looking at these images. The highlights of my year are aligned with what's on my vision board. It is elements of my vision board coming to life. That makes me feel good. And it makes me feel like I am evolving and expanding and reaching towards the life that I want to embrace. And it really reinforces the fact that it is about the journey. The reason why I had to do this exercise is I had elements of this year that were very, very tough. And I have recently been beating myself up a little bit about feeling like I haven't progressed as much as I wanted to progress. I haven't achieved as much as I wanted to achieve, or accomplished as much as I wanted to accomplish. I was thinking that. And after I went through this exercise, and after I really thought about things, and after I journaled about it and thought about it, and now talking about it and sharing it with you, I don't feel that way anymore. I'm feeling way better about my current reality, where I've been, where I'm going. And so again, please reach out to me. Let me know your 5 things, your 5 favorite things about 2024. Let's share that joy together.